Some promises are made in gratitude. Some are broken in fear. This is the story of a golden deer and the man who forgot his own heart. On a storm-torn night, a man clung to a broken branch as a raging river pulled him under. He cried out for help, but the forest was silent. The current dragged him down once, twice. And just as his strength failed, a golden shape emerged from the darkness. A deer stepped forward, its coat shining like polished gold beneath the moon. Without hesitation, it leapt into the river. The current fought him, the waves swallowed him. But he reached the drowning man and pulled him toward the shore. On the muddy riverbank, the man collapsed, his body a dead weight against the earth. The cold of the river still clung to him, but a deeper exhaustion had taken hold, a weariness that settled into his very bones. He lay there, gasping, each breath a painful reminder of how close he had come to the end. The world spun in a haze of grey pre-dawn light. Beside him, the golden deer lay still, its magnificent coat shimmering even in the dim light, its sides heaving with the same profound fatigue. It had given everything to carry him from the river's unforgiving current. The man turned his head, his eyes filled with a dawning, unbelievable gratitude. "You saved my life," he whispered, the words barely more than a breath, yet carrying the weight of his entire soul. "I owe you everything." A voice, soft as the rustle of ancient leaves, entered his mind. It was the deer, its wisdom radiating like a gentle warmth.
"Your life is your own, but now you carry a secret. Tell no one you saw me, nor of what has passed between us here. Humans often hunt what they do not understand. Their fear turns to greed, and their wonder turns to capture."
The man felt the truth of these words settle upon him. He understood this was more than a request. It was a sacred trust. He slowly, deliberately, placed a trembling hand over his heart. "I swear it, on my life which you have returned to me, your secret is safe." Days later, a whisper began to move through the kingdom, carried on the wind from the forest's edge to the bustling city markets. It started as a hushed rumor, a story told in disbelief, but soon it grew into a wave of excitement and speculation that touched every corner of the land. A golden deer, a creature of myth and moonlight, had been seen in the deep woods. The news reached the ears of the king, whose heart, long accustomed to earthly treasures, was now captivated by the thought of possessing a living marvel. He saw not a sacred life, but a priceless addition to his collection. And so, from his great throne, he made an announcement that echoed with the weight of royal command.
"A creature of impossible beauty roams our forest,"
the king declared, his voice filling the cavernous hall.
"A deer with a hide of pure gold. Whoever reveals this creature's location, leading my hunters to it, shall receive wealth beyond measure, a lifetime of riches for a moment of information."
The words hung in the air, a glittering promise, a heavy temptation. In a crowded square, the rescued man heard the proclamation from a royal crier. The words struck him like a physical blow. Instantly, his mind was flooded with the memory of the rushing river, the cold grip of the current, and the gentle, luminous eyes of the deer that had saved him. He felt the warmth of its kindness, the profound weight of the promise he had made, a vow to protect the one who had granted him his life. But another voice, a cold and familiar whisper of fear, began to speak in his heart. It spoke of his poverty, his struggles, his empty hands.
"This is your only chance."
It hissed.
"A chance to escape this life of nothing. What is one promise against a mountain of gold?" What if you never get another chance?
The two forces tore at him, a sacred vow against a desperate hope. He walked to the palace with trembling steps. He bowed before the king, and with a shaking voice, he revealed the deer's hiding place. The king sent hunters at once, and the man felt the weight of his broken promise. In the quiet forest, the Ruru Deer stood calmly as soldiers approached. He did not run, he did not hide. He simply said,
So, he has broken his oath.
The soldiers led him to the king. When the king saw the golden deer, he was struck by its beauty. The great hall, filled with the kingdom's most powerful figures, fell into a reverent hush. Before the throne stood not a mere animal, but a creature that seemed woven from moonlight and gold. Its coat shimmered under the torchlight, and its eyes held a deep, ancient calm that seemed to absorb all the noise and ambition of the court. The king, a man accustomed to the finest treasures, found himself captivated. He saw not just a prize, but a living embodiment of grace, a perfect jewel for his collection. A quiet, possessive desire began to stir within him, a longing to own this unparalleled magnificence. But when the deer spoke, the court fell silent. It lifted its noble head, its gaze meeting the king's directly, without fear or supplication. And then a voice, clear and resonant, filled the chamber. It was not the sound of an animal, but of a being of profound wisdom. The collective gasp of the courtiers was sharp, then instantly smothered. The silence that followed was absolute, a vacuum of disbelief and awe. Every eye was fixed on the golden deer, every ear straining to comprehend the impossible. The king leaned forward on his throne, his fascination turning to utter astonishment. He told the story of the river, the rescue, the promise. The deer's voice painted a vivid scene for all to see. A man drowning in a furious, churning river, his life slipping away. It spoke of a selfless act, of offering its own back as a raft to carry the desperate man to safety. It described the sacred vow made on the riverbank. A promise of silence sworn in gratitude for a life returned. And the betrayal. The deer then spoke of the royal proclamation, of the reward that had tempted a heart and broken a solemn oath. As the story unfolded, a single man in the crowd grew pale, his eyes wide with terror and guilt. The king's face changed from desire to shame. The story was not an accusation, but a simple, unadorned truth. And in its telling, the king saw not a magnificent beast to be captured, but a teacher. He saw his own greed reflected in the betrayer's weakness, and a profound shame washed over him. The king knelt before the deer.
Your virtue is greater than mine. From this day forward, no deer in my kingdom shall be harmed.
The court bowed their heads in respect. The man who betrayed him stood trembling. He expected anger, he expected punishment. But the deer said only,
Your fear made you weak. Let it not make you cruel.
and he forgave him. Gratitude is rare. Virtue is rarer. But compassion, even when betrayed, is the mark of the truly wise. If this story brought you insight or calm, consider subscribing for more tales of wisdom and the path within.